Okay, so welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Okay, here's what we're going to do today. I'm literally going to do 5 minutes worth of notes. I'm going to do maybe an example or two of the chain rule. So if you guys feel comfortable after one, I'll just end with one, and then I'll turn you loose. You're just doing first derivatives. The thing I'm worried about, because I'm going to submit a Google question to you today. It's probably going to go live here in a few minutes. You're going to submit back to me in that question your answer in the chat box. Like you're going to type it out. That's really the thing I'm worried about. It's just how do you type it? Use parentheses, type things using powers and the slash for division sign. That'll probably take you the longest. It's like the answers aren't difficult. It's just like, how do I even type this like answer in so it looks normal? That's the part that we're gonna struggle with. So that's the part that will probably take the longest, just figuring out how to actually type it. So yeah, so we'll go through that here in a minute. But hello everyone, I didn't mean to ignore anyone. So thanks for being here. You guys look enthused to be here, utterly enthused. So all right, we'll get going here. Let's start with the first question. Just a reminder, we do have homework due today at some point before 11:59 tonight. That was the assignment I turned out on Monday this week. So that's on quotient rules. So make sure you're taking a picture of your work and submitting it back to me. It was on a worksheet. All right. Yeah, let's jump right in. Let's do my sole example today. I'm not going to do too many of them. I just want to make sure you guys are good to go and you know what you're doing. If for some reason like you can't hear me, see me, there is an issue with like the iPad, just let me know. Let somebody know. Put it in the group chat, or make sure that you maybe unmute yourself if you have a question. Okay, I'm basically just going to do an example just to make sure you can kind of see it. I'm going to do one with a trig function and then make it kind of complicated on the inside. So we're going to cover like all of our bases in one problem. All right, so y is equal to, let's go with cosine to the 8th power x squared minus 5 over x cubed plus 2x squared minus 7. Oop, that was a terrible ending to that problem. Have an extra parenthesis there I didn't need. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now the item that's in the parenthesis, that is like the variable that's in the cosine. So this problem can be written a different way. It can be written like this, where you can just take the 8th power and put it on the outside of cosine, like that. So this is the same problem, just written differently. I don't know which one makes more sense to you. Maybe that one makes sense to you. Maybe the top one does. I don't know. I just want you to identify that it is chain rule. That's really the point, right? So chain rule is where there's, something to a power, but the something that's to the power is like complicated looking. It's like it's got things inside of it. So so in this one, so the chain rule here, we actually have a couple chain rules on this one. I think we did a problem very similar to this one yesterday for the last one. You're going to drop the power up front and then subtract 1 off the power. So if you're going to write it like the way that I wrote it earlier, this is what it would look like. Okay, does that make sense? Like the start of the problem. This isn't my final answer. This is the start of it. Do you see how I dropped the power up front and then subtracted 1 off the power? Okay, now we have to take this times the derivative of the inside. Now I'm going to underline the inside in blue here. This is the inside. That's the inside of the parentheses. So I drop the power up front, subtract 1 off the power, and that's just written. I know I'm writing that kind of weird. Now, what is the derivative of cosine? We talked about this yesterday. It was one of our rules that we had. It was one of the new things that you just had to have.
Negative sign.
Negative sign. All right, good work, people. All right, so negative sign of that parenthesis. X squared minus 5. X cubed, let's see, I drew a line with my palm, I think. Sorry, didn't mean to have that line up there in the corner. All right. Okay, so that is the derivative of the inside currently. I'm not finished yet. So that was the derivative of cosine, which is the negative sign of whatever that parenthesis is after it, right? That's the derivative of cosine. And then we still have to take it times the derivative of the middle of that item, and that goes in the back. So it's a chain rule on a chain rule on a chain rule, right? So we have a big complicated thing. We dropped the power, subtracted, we did the derivative of the inside. But now, what is the derivative of the inside of the cosine part? What's the derivative of the inside of cosine? How do we do that part inside that parenthesis? What's the rule?
2x.
Good start. What are you doing? Like, just see, what's the rule? Is it power rule?
Quotient rule?
Yeah, it's quotient rule. So, yeah, we're doing quotient rule on the inside of cosine. So, and that's the chunk that goes in the back. Because, again, it was the derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside times, again, if there's more, derivative of the inside again. So that's quotient rule. So this would be the derivative of the quotient. We were saying it earlier, you guys were saying it right. The derivative of the inside, that is, the derivative of the top, which is 2x, like you said, times the bottom, minus, now the derivative of the bottom. What's the derivative of the bottom now? I'm going to run out of space. Maybe I should put it down. I'm running out of space here. I'm transferring this over here just so you can see what this box is supposed to be. 2x x cubed plus 2x minus 7. And what is the derivative of the bottom? That's what we need.
Is it 3x squared?
Yes, that's a good start. I agree with that.
And then 4x?
Plus 4x, yep. Okay, there's the derivative of the bottom. Perfect. And we have to take that times the top. All over the bottom squared. And
we can end it right. We can end it right there, can't we?
Yeah, I don't want you to simplify. None of the problems I submit to you are simplified. Now, I'm not going to submit something this devilishly difficult to you. It's not going to happen. I just want you to see what the chain rule is. I kind of went overboard here. I tried to cover like every basis I could in one problem. Normal chain rule, you drop the power front, subtract 1, take it times the inside, and usually you're done. But this thing had a chain rule inside a chain rule inside a chain rule, so you had to really kind of think about going down the process. Most people mess up at the blue part in the middle, the negative sign. They forget that you have to have that parenthesis behind it. Some people they make the mistake of trying to take the derivative still. It's negative sign of that normal parenthesis, and then the derivative of the parenthesis comes later because of chain rule. Okay, so here's my question to you guys, because you guys are doing a pretty good job of speaking up. Do you guys need another example of this? I'll pick something maybe easier, something more appropriate to like the Google question today. Or you guys feel comfortable?
No.
Okay, so if you feel good, okay, Morgan, I'm going to answer your question. I'm not ignoring you. I'll come back to that here in a second. I'll come back to that. If you feel comfortable with this stuff, you can go work on that Google question. Now, you have to submit the answer to me in the typing box. So you have to feel really comfortable with, typing that in. There's 3 questions that are in the Google question of the day. It's not just submitting this thing to me. It's not. You're looking at the question. I think I have a picture of it or I have a document. You'll open it up in the Google question and you'll submit your answers to me, what you think the first derivative of what that problem is, or those 3 problems. That's what you're doing today. But if you want to stick around, you can log off and just kind of go work on that. I'm totally fine with that. If you want to just go work on that Google question. There's 3 of them in there. But we have homework due tonight, so make sure you're doing that. So if you want to stick around. Now, to answer Morgan's question, if you saw the chat box, she goes, where did that 8 cosine thing come from? Good question. That is from right here. You're dropping, so when we do the chain rule, right, it's the normal power rule. You drop the power out front, and you subtract 1 off the power. And that's this thing. It's just written differently. Like this, you could write it like this, and this would be the same problem. Right? That is still the same problem. It's just written differently, right? It's got the power on the outside. So I drop the power up front, subtract the 1 off the power. The 7, when you write it like this way of writing it, it's, you know, it's the definition of a quotient. It's the same thing as this part right here. When you write trig functions and you want to put powers on trig functions, you don't necessarily have to use a parenthesis and put a power on the outside. You can just put it right after the word cosine. So hopefully, Morgan, that made sense to you. Okay. Yes, Jared, that is correct.
My bad, Ward. I thought it was a Wednesday, or I forgot it was a Wednesday.
No, you're good. You made it. So what you're looking at here, sorry, you kind of got dropped in the deep end here. I basically just, this is the first example. This is the only example I was going to do today. This is it's a chain rule question. It's the first derivative, if you can see it. So I was doing a chain rule, like on a chain rule on a chain rule. So I kind of threw like everything in one problem to see if you guys could kind of handle what I was going to drop here. The very beginning, it's cosine to the 8th power with a parenthesis behind it, and the parenthesis is supposed to be the variable after cosine, right? Cosine of some angle. And when you do the derivative, you drop the power, you do power rule, because that's the quotient, or that's the chain rule, right? You drop the power out front, subtract 1 off the power.
Yeah.
So that's these things right here. This is the question I was just answering right when you chimed in, was this part. It's how you write it. These are the same thing to me, the green and purple. It's just written differently. It's the same problem. So you drop 1 off, you drop the power up front, you subtract 1 off the power. Then, in the back, this is where the blue part comes from, you have to take it times the derivative of the inside.
Okay.
So the derivative of cosine is negative sine of whatever that angle was. And then since there's a parenthesis on that, you have to take the derivative of that parenthesis, which is that huge, like, orange box in the very back. Because the thing that's in the parenthesis for sine, or cosine, I guess, however you want to see it, that was a quotient rule. So we had to do the derivative of that. And that's your answer. Yeah. So, all right. So now to explain, because you came in a little bit late, you're answering the Google question of the day. It has a picture or a document you can open. There's 3 questions there, and you're going to find the first derivative of each one, and then type it in the Google question, the answer. So say the derivative of the first question is blah, 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 this, and you have to type it in. That'll be the hardest part. It's just, how do I type this correctly? Just type it in, and, you know, not in words, but type it, like, try to use the symbols like brackets and parentheses, and use little carets for powers and slashes for division signs. And use parentheses a lot. And then you'll submit that. And then you can go work on your homework that's due tonight. Obviously, the stuff that I gave you past Monday if you haven't already submitted it. So.
All right, sounds good.
Yep. Okay, is there any other questions? Good questions in the chat room. Hopefully, Morgan, I answered your question. Hopefully you feel good with that. I don't even know if she's still here. I think she is. Yep. Jared, I hopefully answered your question already. Yes. What you typed is correct. Yep. Okay. Now, this is up to you guys. I'm leaving this here just for a second because I know this is a tough problem. I really threw you in the deep end on this one. Yeah, let's go through another one. Absolutely, let's go through another one. Does anyone still need this? I know, like, Trav, you just came in. You're kind of in the deep end here. Does anyone still need to write this down? If I move to the next slide, I can bring it back later if you want. Okay. I don't have any chimes. I don't see any hands go up. Okay, so welcome Ryan. You came in the deep end here, bud. So Okay, let's go to another one here. Let's do one more. I'll come back to this problem. So, all right. Somebody's talking. I can hear it. All right, we're gonna do another example here, just so you know what to do. So let's do something where maybe we have just maybe not like a trig function, like sine or cosine. Let's go.
Just got a little sick with them.
That's alright.
It might need a second to relax.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's Ryan at? Is he in a coffee shop? Is he at Java 18?
Sorry, Ward. I thought the Zoom was at 2, so we were at Nip Fitness.
Oh my gosh, you guys are such dorks.
Sorry.
All right, well, at least you're here. Let's go through another example here so you guys can understand what you're doing on the Google question today. All right, so let's say my function is, I'll put in parentheses, let's put it to the power of 5. Let's go with 6x squared. Let's just do something like this. We'll back up and do something a little bit easier. So this is a chain rule. We want to find that first derivative, so y prime, or if you want to write it as dy dx. That's the same thing. It's the derivative. Or f prime of x, I don't care. Okay, so how do we do it? So we always drop the power. If we have a power like a power rule, we do that first. So we're going to drop this 5 out front, right? So the 5 is going to drop out front, like such, and you subtract 1 off of it. That's always the start. We try to power rule first. And if there's anything on the inside of that power rule, we have to take it times the derivative, and we put that in the back. So we're going to take it times the derivative of the inside. So inside that parenthesis was the 6x squared. So we're going to take the derivative of that item. So the derivative of 6x squared, well, you drop the power out front, you take it times the front, and you subtract 1 off the power, right? So I drop the 2 out front of the 6, subtract 1, so this ends up being a 12. You don't have to write 2 times 6, you can just write 12. X to the first. And then if there's anything in the x, there isn't, but if there's anything inside that x, maybe that was a parenthesis, you'd have to take that times the thing in the back. But I don't have anything inside of the x, it was just an x. So technically it's a 1, derivative of x is 1. So, but that's your answer. That's it. That's what I want you to write. That's the whole answer right there. That's the derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside. Okay, so that was kind of easier. Sorry, didn't really make that one really complicated. I was trying to back it off a little bit. That first one was kind of overboard. Should we do another one? It's kind of up to you guys. We can do one with a power rule, quotient rule. We can do another trig function if you want. I can make it a little bit easier if you want. I don't have to put like a crazy one like I did the last one. This is chain rule, remember? Or something inside of something else. You could do this problem differently. I mean, I could have done that problem way differently if I were to multiply that thing out. Can you go through another one, convert to a medium difficulty problem? Okay, yeah. Let's do a medium difficulty. Good question. All right, so let's go with a medium difficulty problem. Let's go with... Okay, medium difficulty. All right. Let's change up the color here. Y is equal to... Okay, let's go sine of 4x all over x squared plus 10x. And that 4x is in parentheses right there after the sign. I consider this a medium difficulty problem. The overall rule, I know this is going to seem weird, the overall rule on this one is not chain rule. That's not the overall rule here, the outside idea. The outside of this one is actually a quotient rule. It's a fraction. There's no parenthesis on it, there's no power on the outside, but it still has a chain rule on the inside of it. If you can see that. The top is actually a chain rule. The top. If we do the sine 4x, that's a chain rule. So, so when we take the derivative of that top part, we'll have to follow the rules for chain.
That we had to do on Google Classroom sucked to type.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. That I told you. I warned you. I clearly warned you that this was going to be the problem.
Yeah.
That it was going to be. It wasn't the actual problems. It's how you type them is a pain in the rear. I know. Okay.
I know.
Take a picture of it, Ward, or something, and just attach it.
I don't know if you can do that. If you can do that, do that. If you can submit, your work on a piece of paper. I don't think you can on Google questions like that. I don't think it allows you to submit. So you're gonna have to type stuff in. Yeah, I warned you. I clearly warned you.
Yeah, Ward.
Ward, I have a question.
What?
Okay, so on the third problem
Yes.
of the questions, so then it's a sine one, but it doesn't have there's just a top line and then parentheses. So would we take the cosine of what's in the parentheses and then do the derivative, or would the derivative go in the parentheses with the cosine?
Oh, are you talking about this problem right now?
No. Can I email you a picture of it?
Yes. Okay. I'll get to your question here in a minute. I will put it on my iPad here screen in a minute. Yes, submit that picture to me so I can understand what you're saying. Okay, let's finish this one out as Jamie's submitting the picture, and you can see this. I think I am recording. Yes, I am. Okay, good. So, derivative of this problem. So this one's a little bit different than the third problem that Jamie's talking about. I know which problem she brought up. She brought up the one from the Google form. Okay, because I have that one opened. Yes, okay. So, all right, let's see. I need to get rid of that. Get rid of this grid box. Okay, good. I'm gonna open up the chat again. The chat closed on me. Okay. All right. So let's keep continuing on this problem. So this is a quotient rule. So if I take the first derivative, all right, the derivative of the top, that is going to be chain rule. So derivative of the numerator. This is the derivative of sine is just cosine. It's not negative, it's just cosine of 4x. But then we have to take it times the derivative on the inside of that. So the derivative of the 4x is just 4. That's the chain rule. Derivative outside times the derivative of the inside. Then we have to take it times the bottom. Because again, that's the derivative of the top times the bottom. Minus now. What do we have to subtract? Well, you have to subtract the derivative of the denominator. So the denominator is 2x plus 10. That's the derivative of the denominator. I'm going to have to turn off the chat. No offending people, Braden. All right. And bully-free zone, even on chat. All right. So we drop the power up front. Did that, so we got the 10. Now we take it times the top, which is sine of 4x. And then this is all over the bottom squared. So this problem, even though it's not overall a huge chain rule, it had a chain rule inside of it, so that still counts. So, see, I don't feel like it's always going to have a power rule on the outside. It doesn't. It could be a chain rule inside something else. So that's the idea. All right, that's the answer. Like that's what I want. That's the solution to this one. That's the first derivative without simplifying things down on this problem. Okay, I'm going to get to Jamie's question. I need to open it up. All right. Okay, getting to Jamie's question here. Pictures, images. Let's rotate this. Okay. Okay, yeah, so she's doing number 3 on the Google question of the day, because there's 3 questions. You have to open up the picture and kind of do them. She dropped the power up front and subtracted 1 off. Great, you did that correctly. So you have that 7 sine to the 6th power, the parenthesis, right? Then you have to take it times the derivative of the inside of that thing, which is cosine, like you wrote. Absolutely, with that same x squared plus the 4 or minus 4x plus 3. And then yes, then you took it times the yes, you did that correctly. Good work. That was a good follow on the power rule. That's a tough problem. That's real good. Nice. Now you got to figure out how to type that. Okay. All right. I don't know what just happened in the chat. I don't know how to read that. Y2? I don't know what that means. LY2? Does that love you too? Oh my God. I'm an idiot. I don't know chat speak. I'm sorry. I'm old. You guys make me feel so old and dumb at all moments of this day. I can see Eric's dying. He's laughing. I can see him. You're right in the middle of my screen right now, Eric. I can see you laughing. Okay. Morgan, so let's get to a question. Maybe, is there something that you want to work on specifically with this chain rule, or anyone else really? I'm not going to just pick on one person. So is there, do we want to work on something like with the dropping the power up front, or do we want to work on like a trig function part, or do we want to work on like a fraction rule thing? Is there some part that you're like, yeah, I don't understand that piece of it?
Can we do the? I'm stuck on the first question on the homework.
Okay, yeah, let's take a. Oh, the homework?
Well,
you mean the?
On what to do, like what to multiply everything after I like drop it out in the front. Like I have that, but I don't know what to multiply it.
Are you doing the Google question of the day? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the first one of the three.
Okay, so yeah, you dropped the 4 out front, and then you subtracted 1 off the 4, right?
Yes, I have that, and
Okay.
I have a 3.
Yeah,
But
and-
now I don't know what to do.
Now, after that parenthesis, so after the 3, you put a multiplication dot,
Yes,
and then you take it times the derivative of the inside in a parenthesis.
and then I'm done.
Then you're done.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, here's what I'll do. You guys can go work on the Google question. Obviously, some of you already started. That's great. I want that kind of completed, figure out how to type it. That's going to be the hardest part, especially number 2 with a fraction. Sorry. That's the tough one. You're going to have to type. So do the best you can. If you can submit a picture of it, submit a picture. I don't know if you can. It might be one of those things that you're just going to have to just power through typing it out. But yeah, so I want to give you some time to just kind of work on that. That's the only thing I have today. I don't have anything else. I have to end the video here. I have my next class starting, so you guys have the rest of time to kind of work on this. If you guys want, I can come back later and be on the Zoom. I'll do it after the next period's over and whatnot, if you want, but it's not a big thing. Yeah, I'll post these examples. So I'll post these later. I'll post the videos later. But if you guys want me on Zoom, just let me know. You guys can work on it together and whatnot. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. Sorry, I got my next period starting. So, sorry. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye, Ward. Love you.